I'm Gail Finley. I'm with the Colorado Hospital Association. I'm the Vice President of Rural Health and Hospitals. I'm not a nurse, but I work in the workforce arena and have worked on nursing issues for a number of years now. So appreciate you all coming and your interest. You're in a great field and you've got some great people here that can talk to you about entering this field if you're new to it, or how to get into a Colorado facility if you're from someplace else. You've got a panel of folks from really all of our systems and our big hospitals here in the Front Range that are up here that can answer some questions. So I'm going to have them each introduce themselves and talk about where they work and what kind of work they're involved in. And then I'm going to ask them a few questions to help orient you to the idea of working in one of these great places. So we'll start here with you. I'm afraid you'll have to use the microphone and pass it down the line. Just introduction.
My name is Michele Sanchez. I am a senior recruiter at Denver Health.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Paul Levine. I'm a senior recruiter for the nurse residency program with UC Health on the Anschutz Medical Campus. And I also oversee the Advanced Care Partner Program and an internal transfer program called the Progressive Pathway Program.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Rose. I'm a senior recruiter with SCL Health, and I'm involved with recruiting for our new grad programs for the Denver metro area. So primarily Lutheran Medical Center in Wheat Ridge, St. Joseph Hospital in Denver, and Good Samaritan Medical Center in Lafayette.
Hi everyone, Taffin Desdale. I am with Children's Hospital Colorado, and I am a talent acquisition specialist, and I've also run the new graduate residency program for a few years now.
I'm Valerie Edinger. I'm from Banner Health. I'm actually a facility educator, so I get to do all the onboarding for many different units for Banner Health in the 3 facilities, Greeley, NCMC, McKee, and Banner Fort Collins.
Hi, I'm Candace Sang. I am a nurse recruiter with Centura Health. I am recruiting for our new grad program for all of our hospitals throughout Colorado and western Kansas. Good morning. My name is Jill Fowler, and I am the lead recruiter for Health One, and I recruit for our Star N new grad orientation as well as our specialty new grad RN residencies.
So if you understood all that, you're going to be lucky. So there seems to be lots of layers and lots of people involved in recruiting and onboarding new nurses, both into a facility and nursing, new nurses into nursing, full-time nursing. So one of the things I'd like to ask each of them to do, just to give you a little brief idea of what to expect. If you're going to apply for a job, what to expect, what that process looks like, and the timing, and the things that you're going to need to do during that process of an interview process, or your application review, or whatever process that they each have. But I think it'll give you an idea of where the similarities are and where there are differences, and the things that you need to think about as you are contemplating where you want to work. Now, these are all hospital-based, and that's what we say is hospital-based, but many of our systems and our providers are actually involved in a lot of different settings of care. So they may have physician practices and offices. They may have ambulatory surgery centers that they operate, home care services that they're involved in. So it's not all inpatient type services that they actually are involved in. So anyway, I'm going to let's start at the other end. Jill, let you start it off and kind of give us an idea of your process.
We currently are accepting applications for our Star N orientation. Our Star N orientation is a 10-week new grad orientation for non-specialty and pathway to ICU for all of our hospitals in the Denver metro area. Just to kind of remind you of the different hospitals under the Health One umbrella, we have North Suburban Medical Center, Presbyterian St. Luke's Medical Center, Rose Medical Center, Swedish Medical Center, the Medical Center of Aurora, and Skyridge Medical Center. We are recruiting for May 13th start date. We offer the Star N orientation 4 times a year. So if you've already passed your NCLEX, you're looking to work, come to our table today. We do have managers on site that can do on-site interviews today. We are also recruiting for our STAR-N orientation that will start in August. So if you're graduating in May or June, that would be the appropriate orientation that you would apply to. And the start dates for that are August 12th and August 26th. We do not have a deadline on when we close our applications for those. We are always accepting applications. We offer the STAR-N orientation 4 times a year. It's a 10-week orientation where you start together as a cohort. So all of our hospitals, all of the new grads, they come together at our centralized education center. The first couple of weeks is general orientation with a state-of-the-art sim lab, so lots of simulation. And then you get assigned your preceptor at the unit that you'll be working on, and you continue to meet at the education center, but you're beginning to precept at the hospital in the unit that you'll be working on. And then over the 10-week period of time, you transition to full-time precepting until you transfer over to the unit that you'll be working on. 3 times this year, we will be offering our new grad specialty residencies. We've already started 1 cohort, so we have 2 more cohorts we'll be recruiting for, and we are currently accepting applications for our emergency department services residency, our labor and delivery residency, and our perioperative residency. The labor and delivery and the ED residency is a 16-week residency, and the periop is a 20-week residency. Those cohorts are smaller than what we recruit for the STAR-N. And the application process is a little bit more in-depth with some additional screenings and interviews and assessments. But we are accepting applications for them as well. In-person interviews, if you're invited to, are the last week of June, so you would want to apply and start the application process. We'll probably have a difficult time processing your application if you wait until, like the middle week of June to apply for those.
We have our application window open currently for our summer cohort. And it was supposed to close on Monday, but we extended it for this career fair. So you will have until Friday or through Friday to apply. So this cohort will start August 5th. And so if you have not applied for Centura's cohort, new grad cohort, you want to do that right away because you'll only have through Friday. So kind of how the process works, application, we will ask you for 4 things for your application: your resume, your cover letter, your letter of recommendation, and an official transcript. And kind of how the process goes from there. Once we receive that all looks good, we will then send you an email that will ask for your references. So we'll do a reference check. Once that's complete, you'll go into kind of a holding pattern, and then in the next week to 2 weeks, we will send out interview requests. So from that point, when you're filling out your application, you'll actually be asked for your preference. So your top 3 hospitals, top 2 units, and that's going to be more acute care units. And then we'll also ask you for future what your specialty preferences would be. So from that point, that's how we're going to kind of determine what interviews you'll be asked to. We'll be sending you an email to ask you your interview preference. So when you get that email, you'll want to look at it right away because the slots will fill up really quickly. Interviews will take place at those hospitals that you are interested in, and they will be panel-style interviews. So you'll have 4 to 6 hiring managers that will be on those panels. From that point, you could get an offer anywhere from possibly that day up until a couple of weeks after that time. When you are offered, you will be called, and we will let you know what unit is offering, what hospital that's at, and the hiring manager as well. Again, that cohort will start, that's our August cohort, so our summer cohort, and that will start August 5th. If you miss the window application for this cohort, we will have another one that will open in July. That will be for our fall cohort, and that will be starting that program in October. So from that point, as far as our program, it is a Vizient accredited training program, and it will be 12 months. And so the first 12 weeks will be orientation, and the training will consist of classroom and clinical training. And then, let's see what else here. As far as the program, the offers, for the new grad hires, it will be a benefited, full-time benefited program. Full-time, and it will be variable, so it could be days and nights. We are offering primarily going to be acute care, And there will be some possibility of specialty depending on which hospital we're kind of determining. And as far as specialty, that could be ICU, OR, ED, women's health, or NICU. And the biggest thing that kind of sets us apart from other hospitals is that we do not make you sign a contract. Please do come visit our booth just down the hall here. We have other recruiters there. We have some more information and some swag, as we call it, our goodies that you guys can get.
I'm Valerie again, and I'm from Banner Health. A great statistic that we had, in 2018, we hired 1,084 new grads across our system. We, in March of 2019, were the first facility organization to become ANCC accredited for our new grad program. So we are really excited about that. That was a big process, and we're really proud of that. For the process of a new grad, we don't hire into cohorts. We hire new grads all the time. So when you're ready to apply, you apply for a position, and it depends on the specific unit as to which unit is appropriate for a new grad. You will interview with a panel of senior managers or directors that have a position open for a new grad. And then there's about a 24-hour turnaround from that interview from the time that you are offered a job. We onboard new nurses from new grads to new to service to experienced nurses every 2 weeks. So we are hiring consistently. We make sure that you complete an occupational health clearance. That's going to be your background check, your drug screen, all of that. And then you must have an AHA BLS card. That's kind of a big thing for Banner Health. We follow AHA guidelines, so you need to make sure that that is current. Again, the new grads are selected based on the appropriateness of each unit. From there, you have about a 10-week orientation. You get about 24 shifts on the unit. And the first 2 weeks primarily are the clinical orientation, all the good pieces of learning the new hospital, new documentation, and then we have things set aside for new grads. We do a new grad academy. We do a new grad simulation. There's 2 different opportunities there that each new grad gets. And then there's service line academies. So we hire new grads into all different service lines, depending on the appropriateness for that unit.
I am Taffin, again with Children's Hospital, Colorado. With our new graduate residency program, we hire 3 cohorts per year. So in March, August, and November at both of our Anschutz campuses, and then our brand new Colorado Springs Hospital down in the Springs, open here any day soon. So depending on the time of year, we hire about 20 to 40 people per location. Let's see here. The next cohort that we're hiring for will be in November, and the application for that will be open from June 1st through 29th, so you do have to apply within that time frame. All of the application instructions are online on our new graduate nurse residency website that has important dates that pertain to each cohort, as well as the supplemental instructions as well. So when you apply, you'll submit your online application, and then it has instructions for the essay part, which is the supplemental application. On that supplemental application, you will rank your top 3 units, and from there it's a mutual selection process. Almost all of our inpatient units and our critical care areas hire new graduates, and then as well as our medical floors, so hemonc, pulmonary, ortho and neuro rehab, general medicine, OR, ED, and mental health all take on new grads. Really the only areas that don't are our outpatient ambulatory clinics. Going back to the application, to be eligible for our residency program, you do have to have a BSN. It has to be your first job as an RN, and you can't have worked as an RN previously. We do hire in the cohorts, and then, like I said, it's a mutual selection process, so you should find out about a week to 3 weeks prior to the actual interview dates. It is a 2-year agreement. The first year is in the residency program, and you'll graduate with an evidence-based practice project and presentation, and then the next year will be spent on your same unit. If you do come to our booth, we have these handy flyers that we'll give you with all of the program timelines, and the links that you can go to for all of that information on how to apply.
And just because you graduated, you didn't know you were going to get more training, more testing. But I think that's actually one of the interesting things about nursing, from my point of view, not being a nurse, is that it is a lifelong learning. And it does change. And in essence, I think the education becomes a huge part of what you're committing to as you go along with your career.
This is Carrie from SDL Health. I'm just mostly going to talk about the differences between some of the programs. There's a lot of similarities as far as the application process and things like that. So for our two hospitals, Good Samaritan Medical Center in Lafayette, their new grad program starts July 22nd, so they have a cohort. Application deadline is this Friday. And then St. Joseph Hospital, also deadline this Friday, and that cohort starts July 15th. Programs are quite similar, so combination of classroom-based training as well as time on the unit with the preceptor over a 12-week period and then ongoing support for a 12-month period. We will accept applications from individuals with their BSN or their associate's degree of nursing. If someone has their associate's degree, the requirement is that they complete their BSN within 4 years of hire. You do not need to have your RN license prior to application, but you do need to have it prior to the cohort start date. And then we kind of go through the typical process. You'd be pre-screening. If you're moving forward in the process, you'd be pre-screening with myself, talking a little bit about unit interest, location interest, your background, things like that. From there, we do on-site interviews at the different hospitals. A few units might do panels, so our cardiology team will interview together and things like that. Otherwise, it's a little bit smaller setting of interviews, so maybe about 2 individuals, maybe 3 individuals. And then we do the references and same steps as far as that, and then making offers. So we are, as I mentioned, accepting applications through Friday, doing those pre-screens through the month of May, doing interviews in the month of May, and getting offers out, I'd say, mid-May through mid-June. Every unit's a little bit different. Total cohorts that we're taking, St. Joe's is taking about 18 to 20 new grads this time around, and then Good Sam is taking about 12. We run our cohorts 3 times a year. So if for some reason the July timeframe doesn't work, we also have cohorts starting early November, and the applications will be going out in August, and then we also have a March cohort.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul, again with UC Health. We have 3 areas for the residency program here in Colorado. We have a northern region, which represents Medical Center of the Rockies and Poudre Valley Hospital, Metro Denver, which is the Anschutz Medical Campus, and Southern Colorado, which is our Memorial Health down there. We are one of 6 accredited residency programs in the United States, and we've held that since 2005. We're Magnet, Level 1, university affiliated and teaching hospital, and we have about 40 participating units, at least at Metro Denver. Typically about 30 med-surg units, about a dozen ICUs, OR, ED, and we've even expanded in recent years to include a few ambulatory clinics as well. Applications typically open up about 3 months before our onboardings, which we have cohorts 4 times a year. More information to dive really a lot deeper can be found on our website, uchealth.org, search residency. But we have onboardings in February, July, August, and October. We'll typically accept right around 70 to 100 at Metro Denver per cohort, maybe around 40 in the northern region and about 30 in the Springs.
So again, Michele with Denver Health. So Denver Health is one of very few freestanding hospitals, so we are not a part of a system or network. We are a level 1 trauma center that is also a safety net hospital, which means that we will care for a patient regardless of their ability to pay. And so with our new grad program, we hire throughout the year. We have 3 cohorts that starts in March, August, and November. And if you are hired like in January, then you will just be added to the closest cohort. So if you start in January, you will just be added to March. But in January, you will start orientating on the floor, and depending upon the unit that you work on, your clinical orientation will vary. So it could be anywhere from 6 weeks to 10 weeks. And so during the new grad program, it is going to be a 12-month program in which we do require you to work on your unit as well as attend a once-a-month 3-hour class to go over things that will really transition you from student to a practicing professional at Denver Health. And we will definitely teach you a lot of unique things that are specific to Denver Health, since Denver Health is a complex healthcare environment. We do hire into our med-surg programs, or med-surg, I guess acute care, flow pool, women's services. There are times in which we will hire into the MICU, our medical ICU, as well as our OR. We do have openings in behavioral health, Denver Sheriff's, and correctional care. In order to apply for a position, you must actually apply to a specific unit, and you must have your BSN with no previous RN experience and a BLS certification through the American Heart Association. We do make contingent offers based upon when you take your NCLEX, and because we're rotating, or I guess because we're hiring throughout the year, we make contingent offers so that you could take your NCLEX, pass, start with Denver Health, and then start at the closest cohort to your start dates. So if you have specific questions, please come visit us. We do have some goodies to give out, and we can absolutely answer any questions that you may have.
Great, great. Thank you all. That was there was a lot, and there's a lot of similarities, but there are a few differences, and I think those are what you all get to take in mind as you're looking at planning moving forward in your career. There's two things that I guess I'd like to ask people to maybe think about on the panel and respond to. One has to do, some of you seem to hire and then help people kind of as they decide what specialty they would go into. Some you need to come kind of knowing that. So I believe Banner, actually, I heard at a different conference, you actually have some kind of evaluation tool or assessment that you do of new hires that helps them decide whether they're going to be good in the ICU or good in the emergency department type. Because in essence, it seems to me that the good ICU nurse is probably not a good ED nurse, and vice versa. But in essence, there are some ways to evaluate. So I'm interested if anybody is doing that. I heard from a Banner nurse based out of Arizona, so I don't know if Colorado is using the same process or if anybody else is. But I think whether you get it done when you get employed or you do it beforehand and find that, because I think unless you already know where you want to go, those kinds of assessments can help you decide what's going to fit you best, because some of it's personality driven. I would do good in the ED, but probably not any place else. I want to take care of you and then have you go on. Some people like to take care of people over a long time. But anyway, anybody that can address that type of thing, if you help people do that. And I guess the other one is, what kinds of attributes, what's missing, or of the applicants you're seeing, what does it appear your applicants are not paying attention to? What would you like them to be bringing forth through the process that helps them stand out or makes them a better candidate? So either one of those. They're kind of another 45-minute, conversation, but in essence, I thought if a couple of you could address those, it'd be helpful.
I'll speak to Banner. So every new hire, when you do the application process, you complete the whole application, and the last step is actually 30 minutes. And you get to go through a series of 100 questions, and it's about you, and it's about your personality and who you are, what drives you, what doesn't drive you, what kind of teamwork are you. And it's not really to say that's good or that's bad, it's where will you be best placed. And then you get a report out of that, and it's your top 3 qualities. So when the senior managers are looking at people to interview, that's part of kind of what they're looking for. We really need someone that's more direct. We need someone that is laid back. Obviously, we need a lot of people that are teamwork oriented. In nursing, you really just don't do nursing by yourself. You always have a team. And then so kind of playing off of that, that kind of helps us with really identifying maybe the areas that we really want to, specifically for each individual that will support that unit. I would say for us, we're really looking for someone that's customer service focused. We don't like to think of a hospital as customers, or, if you think about checking out at Walmart or whatever the case is, but truly your patient is your customer. And honestly, your coworker is your customer. It's kind of this big teamwork. So we really focus on that. A lifelong learner, you guys either have or maybe soon will be taking your NCLEX, but nursing school teaches you this much. The NCLEX tests you over this much, and nursing is this times a million. It's just the nature of how nursing works. So you definitely need to be a lifelong learner. We do a lot of support with the education world for our new grads. And so that's what I love about new grads. You're used to that. You're used to getting your stuff done, to get your competency duals done, to get your tests done, all your homework and studying. And so that lifelong learner piece is consistent across what we offer. Teamwork, we talked about. Collaboration. You will never do nursing by yourself. So it's really important that you are willing to be collaborative with your team and not just say, nope, I'm doing this by myself, because really you shouldn't do that. And then perseverance. Again, this is what I love about new grads, because they are. You just came from nursing school, and it's hard. And so we love to see that you guys are really ready to hit the floor and working hard.
Thanks. Just adding on what you say, of course, we're looking for the same thing, somebody that's very passionate, ready to learn, ready to get going. A big thing, too, is, somebody that's really researched our different hospitals, because we have so many different hospitals, different areas, different units, what your interest is, and just, to know that you've done that research really stands out as well. As far as the assessments, we don't really have anything like that. Like I said, during the application, you are asked what hospitals, that's where that research comes in, which hospitals you're interested in, and then the units as well. So we don't have an assessment, but the nice thing is we do the panel interview, so you have that group of hiring managers that's there talking to you, and then once you leave, that they can discuss and kind of determine that as well from what you've talked about, what you've said your interests are, and kind of your personality and just that overall fit.
So to add on and not repeat, part of our application process is an assessment that sounds very similar to Banner's. It's a tool that managers will use to just, again, make sure that you are a good fit for their unit. And then with what Candace said, it's important to our managers to know that you're interested in their department. So I would encourage you, if you don't know where you want to work, get 2 years or more on a med surg floor. Really use all the skills that you were just in school for. Get a solid foundation before you hone in. I'm hoping that you've chosen nursing as a lifelong career and you have your entire career ahead of you to specialize. And so having that foundation will do nothing but help you along the way and help you progress up. The other thing is our managers are always saying they want to hear your story. So I know that some schools, when they help you prep for interviews and everything, they're helping you develop a 60-second commercial. If it's so high level, it's not telling them, why did you really get into nursing? What is that story? They want to know you, and they want to make sure that you're a good fit for their unit. So be thinking of those experiences that you had during your clinicals that really validated that you've chosen the right career for you.
So I absolutely agree with everything that they just said about the qualifications, or I guess the characteristics of what we're looking for. The one thing that we are looking for specifically at Denver Health is why Denver Health. So our mission at Denver Health is to for people to access the quality care for all Denver Health citizens, regardless of their ability to pay. And so we are a safety net hospital. So what makes you a good candidate? Why Denver Health? Why do you want to work with these types of patients? Would be a really good thing to have in your cover letter to sway in your favor.
Like everybody else, during our application process, you'll get the opportunity to highlight your top 2 units at UC Health, and then all applications are shared with all managers with your top 2 highlighted. So many times those top two units will choose you for interview, but at times other units that really enjoy your background, your presentation for your application packet will also elect to interview you. That being said, very similar to what you were saying, the first couple pages is essentially your thesis statement of not only why you're a great candidate for UC Health, but why you're a great candidate for those units in particular. That you've done your research, that you're making an informed decision, and that you really have a direction that you're trying to go for, maybe including lifelong learning into that. I would say that the main thing that has an ongoing theme with our nurse managers when I ask them what they're looking for in a new grad, because mostly everybody looks the same on paper, we're all brand new BSN nurses, you have a basic life support, and other than that, you're really just eager to get started. One really reoccurring theme is humbleness. They're really looking for someone humble, willing to absorb things like a sponge, not have any preconceived notions about the unit that they're showing up in, and just ready to take on any challenge that's put their way in an ever-evolving environment.
So at SCL Health, we do not use an assessment tool. However, during the pre-screen interview, that's really why we talk a lot about the clinical experience. And certainly, I can read on everyone's resume where they did their clinicals and what units and things like that. And that's not the purpose for my question. Really, I want to understand, what did you enjoy about the units that you were on? I think your clinicals give you a really great opportunity to learn on units that you might not have chosen for yourself. And in some cases, that changes the direction of your career. I hear people say, I was really interested in one unit, but then I was on this unit and I had an amazing experience. And so when talking with the leaders or the recruiters, I think highlighting in a little bit more detail about your experiences, what did you walk away from? What were some of maybe what drew you to that unit, so that we can get a sense of where do you want to be. I think it's helpful if you have some idea of that coming into the application process. A lot of people mention that the hiring leaders really want to know that you're interested in their unit. If they hear that, well, really my interest is mom, baby, but I know that you're I need a job. If they get that sense, they're less willing to give someone a chance, just because they invest a lot in training. And so they want to make sure that, while maybe it's not your top unit, maybe you're going to fall in love with it. Maybe you'll do that for a couple of years and then move on to another area. So I think having some flexibility and openness to trying new things or learning about other units, or doing a little bit of research or talking to others who've had some experiences on other units is really helpful. But otherwise, we get a lot of that. We try and delve into that a little bit during our initial interview. But we rely on you a lot to tell us what are you interested in? What are you going to be passionate about? Because, we also all are interested in longevity and you growing your career. So we don't want to put you in something that's really not a fit for you either. So.
Okay, we don't really use an assessment either, hence the mutual selection process, but part of that is that the units will assess in part of your interview whether those top 3 are going to be a fit for you and which will be the best fit for you. I think what's unique about our application process is obviously you're in pediatrics, so when you're doing the supplemental application, it asks specifically about Children's Colorado, but more specifically about why pediatrics. And I think it's really important, after reading 600 applications, everyone loves kids and everyone wants to work with kids. So for the managers, it's really about that moment in time where you knew that you wanted to work with kids forever. Something specific that really sticks out in your mind that made you want to work in pediatrics. And I think that's the best advice I can give you.
So I think what I'm going to do is open it up to questions.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I am originally from Minnesota and will be moving to Colorado. My question would be for you guys, what do you recommend a new grad does to improve within their first year of being an RN?
So the first year is a steep learning curve. And I'm going to go back to just being perseverant, having that perseverance to continue forward. Utilize your resources. Bring the current practice of knowledge that you already have. And I think that's what's great about new grads. You bring a spirit of inquiry, like why? Why this? Why that? Like I've seen that in clinical just one time, or I read it in a book, but just the constant wanting to know the why, I think is going to bring you great success. Kind of goes back with what they said, just knowing, coming in with an open mind and not being like, well, I learned it this way, or I learned it this way, but kind of having that open mind along with that.
I would say just really learning from the experienced nurses, taking it all in. If you have specific interests, maybe different specialties, talking to those hiring managers or people that work within those units to kind of get a good feel for that.
So again, I agree. So to just add to it, I would say, and it was said earlier, you have to remember customer service. A lot of our patients are well educated on the fact that they have a choice where they want to go, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of them and that they're having a good experience, as well as you need to make sure that your coworkers and your supervisors are also viewed as customers. And I know that we struggle sometimes with the cell phone and technology. Making sure that we're mindful in the present, who is our customer in front of us versus who is the customer in your pocket. So I would just pass that little tidbit along.
For those of us that are addicted to those little phones, that's a very good note. Anybody else have anything to add?
I'll just add, continue to be an advocate for your patient, even though you are new nurses. Don't ever be afraid to speak up or ask questions, or if it's different from what you've learned and you don't understand why, ask why. I think the worst thing is to stay silent and later wish that you had spoken up. So I think it's just definitely feel free to continue to ask those questions.
Don't be so hard on yourself. Use the support system that's around you. I understand it's not going to be easy. You're going to have moments of burnout almost right away and then closer to the end of that first year. And lean on your charge nurses, clinical educators, assistant managers, nurse managers. And just, take it all in stride. It's a good learning experience.
So I absolutely agree with everyone here. I would say learn as much as you can with the resources that you have available. So experienced nurses around you, charge nurses, preceptors, even other new grads. So you'll run into new grads from other hospitals or from other units, and you could just collaborate as to what works, what isn't working. And also to echo my colleague here, to really be an advocate for your patient. And so if you think that something is wrong, like voice your opinion, and be that subject matter expert. Be the nurse that I know you all are wanting to be, the best that you could be.
Great. Any other questions?
Hi, my name's Brianna, and a question that I have is just, I know there's a lot of applicants for a lot of you guys' organizations, and I'm not sure if you guys extend interviews to everyone. I would think you wouldn't. So what are some things that will get people an interview versus what are some things that will hinder you from even getting an interview?
Things that won't get you an interview, at least at our facility, we're a teaching hospital, and a lot of our hiring managers, kind of similar to myself, are kind of nerdy, being completely honest. So spelling and grammar are pretty big on the application process, and you would not believe how many people just don't proofread an application. So I feel like that would be one big thing that I would reiterate over and over again, if possible, is to make sure your spelling, grammar, formatting everything looks very presentable. And then to get an actual interview, just show that you're making an informed decision. And it kind of goes along with what we said a couple questions ago, that you've done your research, that you know maybe your direction, if you're unsure of a direction. I think someone may have mentioned it earlier that a med-surg unit's a great place to start out in as a new grad nurse.
Going off of what he said about your proofreading, also really important if you include a cover letter or anything, don't apply to SEL Health and ask, say, I'm really excited about children's health, because although we know what you mean, when it gets to the hiring leader, they see that and they think, well, again, they're not maybe really interested or you weren't paying attention. So make sure that you have the correct organization that you're applying to on your cover letter if you're including a cover letter. And then when I'm reviewing resumes, I look at things like your senior practicum. So where did you have that? So include some experience on that, as well as the other units. If you've been at some of our facilities, that's really helpful for me to know. If you've done practicum at our facilities, it's helpful. If you have any other related healthcare experience, even if it wasn't clinical, like maybe you were working in a patient service representative position, maybe you were in something that was maybe a billing office. So just helping us to understand what else have you done outside of your healthcare career. So those are just some of the things that we look at.
One of the first screening tools that we use is a series of weighted questions. So there's about 20 weighted questions that you'll answer pre-application. These have to do with your involvement in the community, volunteer experience, if you have healthcare experience, if you've held a leadership position. So really the more involved that you are in the community, in your school, in your curriculum, the higher you'll be on that weighted list, which will most likely get you at the top portion that will definitely be interviewed. And then as well as the strength of your supplemental application. Like I said, really standing out from everyone else that wants to work with kids, and it's been a lifelong dream of theirs. And then last but not least, you'd be surprised how many people we get that don't follow the application instructions. So it's pretty straightforward on our website, but somehow we still get people that don't read them thoroughly or forget pieces. So just making sure that you submit everything within the time frame and everything that we ask.
Network. Attending this event is a great thing to do as you have the opportunity to meet with leaders, and healthcare is a huge industry. Even just in the grocery store, standing in line, you could be standing next to somebody, the 9 News health fairs. So networking is always a huge opportunity to put a face with your resume. So